Yo, bro, I'm low-key faded, bro.
Highway.
What's this guy supposed to be, the ultimate badass?
They ain't ready. They ain't ready, Joe. They ain't ready. Here we go.
I'm gonna go out here, guys.
What is it? You ain't Mexican. What is that?
I missed it a little bit though, so I dig a little deep in there, right? But yeah, he did that.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's episode of the Frisco Report. We're live in effect. If you're catching us on the replay, make sure you hit like, subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe. Helps us out a whole bunch here at the channel. We can't do it without you guys. We love the questions that come in, the super chats, the discussion in the chat box. It's been outstanding this offseason. Mike, the co-host, how are you doing, bro?
What's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Frisco Report. Joe Rod, how you been? How's your week? I know we talked on the phone for an hour yesterday. I was supposed to just talk to you for 5 minutes, but if anybody out there knows, if I call you or if you miss a call from me and you call me back, it's going to be a minimum of an hour. So just give you a heads up. You don't want my number. I'm a long-winded guy.
And that's how it goes. When we talk Cowboys football, we lose track of time, man. That's why even doing the Frisco Report, it's like, man, how did that go by so fast? But tonight, guys, we have a lot of news to cover, a lot of discussions to talk about. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about the 53-man predictions, surprises, and we'll close it out with Micah Parsons. But, Mike, before we start, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. That is America's team, Jerry Jones. Have you seen the documentary yet, bro?
I said I wasn't going to watch it, but I just finished the second episode about an hour ago, and I'm going to watch another episode after the Frisco Report.
Same here. I'm in it all for my love of the 90s team, the team that I grew up on, Troy, Emmett, Jimmy Johnson. It just gets me emotional. And it also brings me back to, will we ever see a championship here again, man? That's just the feeling that I'm getting watching this, as I'm seeing, this culture that supposedly we are trying to build here. It's nothing like we had. Like, you can tell, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you can legitimately tell when there's a change. Like, you have legit swagger, not manufactured. If you're a physical team, you're physical. It's not manufactured. And those 90s teams, they had that. They had that, Mike.
Yeah, we got 1980 in the house. We got 1980 in the house. I just clicked on his comment twice and made it disappear. And then we got a super chat from Mike also. But yes, Joe, I'm looking at these two episodes in this documentary, and believe it or not, right now in these first two episodes, they're talking about Charles Haley. They're talking about Michael Irvin and Emmett and Troy and Jimmy Johnson and how the Herschel Walker trade happened. And, right now, like, Jerry's part of it, obviously, right? But he's really not part of it right now. Obviously, he had a hand in it, but right now the spotlights are on the players and on the coach, Jimmy Johnson. And I find myself just smiling, like, just in joy of, golly, look how beautiful this was.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm just finding myself, just an honor to have this history in front of us. I get it. It was 30 years ago plus, but it's beautiful to see. It's history. History you cannot delete. And this documentary is proof of that.
No, you hit it right on the head, man. It is history, and we're all growing older together. I see Troy getting older. Yeah, Michael doesn't seem like he ages, but everybody else, we're all growing older together. Coach Johnson, man, even you hear it in his voice, he now has that older man voice, right? That last quarter of your life type of voice where it's like, gosh, man. Thank God he's in the Ring of Honor, bro. Jesus, man. Well, that was ridiculously long. But enough of that. So let's get into the 53. And I hope everybody watches it because we're all fans. And I just love the 90s Cowboys, bro. And that's why I'm watching it. And of course, Jimmy Johnson. What can I say? The man, the myth, the legend, right here on my wall. Always and forever. Mike, the 53 man, we have the final game here against Atlanta on Friday, right, Mike? The game's on Friday night?
Game's on Friday night, Joe. And I've been streaming the preseason games, the watch parties, but now that's going to be moved over to Freaky Friday on Fifth Quarter Cowboys channel. So shout out to him.
Cowboy, bro.
You guys go tune in, subscribe to Fifth Quarter Cowboys, hit the notification bell so you don't miss this live stream edition of the last preseason game, real raw reactions. And Micah will probably be in attendance, and he said for $4.99, hey, I appreciate both of you guys keeping it real, staying positive despite how much a dumpster fire the Cowboys currently are in because of Jerry. Absolutely, Mike. I do appreciate that super chat.
Yeah, dude, he's still the guy with the final say with the the pen to paper. You know what I mean? Oh, Steven has taken over this and that. Not yet. Not yet, man. And we're seeing it in full display here with these negotiations and just how things have been handled here for the last 30 years. There's a pattern now. You can look at this and see the pattern that is the Cowboys under Jerry Jones. You know what I mean? Like it's right there. It's clear as day. But yeah, we got that game here. Friday Night Lights. Who in your mind, Mike? And then let's talk about some 53-man predictions here. Let's start with the quarterbacks, Mike. I mean, it's got to be Will Grier to be your number 2, or is there a last-minute trade for somebody better out there, bro? Like, what is your 53-man prediction on the quarterback position, outside of Dak Prescott?
When I'm looking at these NFL rosters, Joe, and I'm looking at the Browns, zoning in on the Browns, they got a lot of quarterbacks. They can't keep them all on their roster. So they got to make some cuts. The Cowboys could potentially dip into the Browns quarterback room, bring one of those guys over during the cuts. Obviously, they have to submit their waiver wire and hope that they get one of those guys. And that's for any quarterback that gets cut here in the next coming weeks. But I'm looking at that. But then I'm looking at what's on our roster now. If Joe Milton is a third emergency quarterback, then he doesn't really count against the 53. He's just a third emergency guy, and they can still develop him, right? Which I think that's the plan for the Cowboys. So that when Schottenheimer stood on the podium, or he sits at the podium the other day, he said, we know what we have in Will Grier. We have to evaluate Joe Milton. So that tells me right there, Will Grier is quarterback number 2.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. The front office, it seems like they have an affinity for him, McClay and these guys. I'm with you, though, man. I would look around the roster, and we know this playbook isn't hard to get. It's been here forever. You know what I mean? It's the Garrett playbook. It's not hard, according to our enemies of the state and everybody like that. So it's not a hard playbook to learn. So you could, in theory, pick you up or trade for a legit number 2, like somebody better than what we have right now. You know what I mean? Let's go back in time here, Mike. Let's go back to draft night, right? Just for fun here. Let's go back to draft night in Shedeur Sanders, the fall, right? Round after round after round. Should the Cowboys have taken a roll the dice and use a pick on him, Mike? Should they have brought him in here and drafted him?
It's hard to say, right? Because we always go back and look. Oh, we could have had TJ Watt over Taco. We could have had this guy over Mozzie, right? So where are you drafting Shedeur Sanders and who are you giving up? Are you giving up Phil Maffa in exchange for Sanders? Are you giving up Jadon Blue? Like, who are you going to give up in replace of that, right? So hindsight's definitely 2020 because at that time where we would have drafted Shedeur, we didn't touch running back yet until later on in that draft. And so you're not going to spend a high draft pick on him, right? So hindsight's definitely 2020. It's easy to talk about it because we know what happened. But I think they valued more positions than they did. And then Milton was already the quarterback there. Will Grier was already the quarterback here. So they already had that plan. I think Shedeur Sanders was probably discussed, but it was probably discussed as long as Jerry thought about firing himself that fast.
Yeah. Hypothetically, Mike, I would have drafted him. So, knowing what I know from him, the competitor that he is, and the way that he keeps looking good in preseason and in training camp, despite being blackballed or whatever the hell it happened here at the NFL, who knows? But I see the talent there. You know what I mean? I would have taken him. You know, if we would have had that fifth rounder, if we wouldn't have traded for Joe Milton, that would have been a good pick there. You know what I mean? To use a fifth and then take him. Siobhan Revel, maybe even a third. He was a first round talent, man. He fell for whatever the hell, you know, these owners were in cahoots for. Who knows? But I would have used a pick on him in this past draft because I don't like what we have at quarterback right now. I honestly think Shedeur is better than what we have right now as our backups. I think he's better than Grier. I think he's way better than Joe Milton for sure. You know what I mean? And the development, you know, would definitely be at a faster rate, in my opinion. So that's just an interesting side topic there to talk about there, Mike. But yeah, I'm with you. At the end of the day, it probably will be Will Grier there. And you make a good point about the emergency quarterback 3. And that's probably what the Cowboys' plan is here. Yeah, Dallas Cowboys fan 1980, Mike. Damn, I was there. It makes me feel old. What magical times. Such a different world and a different time in our winning was the first and number one priority then. What we're witnessing now is disgusting, man. It really is, bro. I'm with you. You know, we're close in age, me in 1980, and you know, you live it. You know, you live those moments. You go through the development of going from 1989, 1-15, improving, divisional round, championship round, Super Bowl. That's how you do. That's how you create a championship, a camaraderie. And the Cowboys, they did it really well, and we just don't have that here, man. We haven't been able to get past the divisional round. It's sad, you know.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, you look at, you know, the closest that we got to the divisional round was a no catch by Des Bryant back in 2014. Other than that, you know, we've had legitimate teams, you know, especially when you look at 2016 with a rookie Zeke and a rookie Dak, and, you know, we just couldn't figure it out. And you're playing Aaron Rodgers as a rookie, you know, it ain't going to work out like it's supposed to. And then, you know, as the year has gone by, it's just there's been zero consistency of winning in Dallas. And, you know, that shows in the playoffs. You know, when Stephen A. Smith says what can go wrong will go wrong, he's absolutely right. Cowboys find a way. And they had just never been consistent on that front since the last Super Bowl with Barry Switzer and the two before that with Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. No, it's been very difficult. And, you know, we talk about, rebuilding and this and that. Honestly, it feels like the Cowboys every year are in a soft rebuild. It's like we don't have the consistency of the roster, the coach, the play callers. You know what I mean? Like it's all somebody leaves, somebody goes. Oh, this isn't the right O-line coach. Bring this guy in, swap this guy out. You know, it's just it's crazy. So next here, Mike, the running backs. What do you have any bold predictions here for the running back position here as we look at the 53-man roster?
Yeah, you know, I've been saying since the offseason that it's going to be Javonte Williams, Jadon Blue, and Phil Maffa. And from what I've seen, I think that still stands. A surprise to me would be a Deuce Vaughn. That would be a huge surprise for me. But a really what are you doing move outside of Deuce Vaughn would be having Miles Sanders still on this team come 53, and then Hunter Lemke be your fullback. So they keep 4 total, including Hunter Lemke, but I think it's Javonte Williams, Jadon Blue, and Phil Maffa, Joe. That's what I'm looking at.
Man, I think it's one of the more intriguing roster battles here because we haven't seen Jadon Blue outside really mini camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Training camp, he had maybe at the beginning of training camp. Then is he going to be an injury prone guy, Mike? About this, like he's been gone way too long already for this early on in his young career. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, he might play against the Falcons. He might, that there is some optimism, but I see it how, and the only way I can't see it is how Schottenheimer sees it. Is he had good practice, he had good reps. That's his preseason, and we've seen the Cowboys take this approach since Mike McCarthy's been here, and so when we look at it as a whole, they're comfortable with the way he practiced. And they might just go off that, Joe. But I would love to see Jadon Blue in the Falcons game just to get his feet underneath him. He's been sitting, getting cold. Got to get warmed up, get them hamstrings going, get ready for these Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, no, I'm going to take a different route at this, and I'm looking at this this chart here, Mike, and they got obviously Javante's not playing. Miles Sanders, and then they have Jadon Blue. This is the latest depth chart as of today. Jadon Blue, Deuce Vaughn, and Phil Maffa, right? So I feel like, to me, that they're going to go Javonte, Miles Sanders, Jadon Blue, and Deuce Vaughn. I don't want him on the practice squad. Bring back Phil Maffa as your practice squad guy. That's kind of how I feel this thing might play out. Because if Jadon's not ready for that opening game, you got to have some sort of guy with juice, right? And I think that would be Miles Sanders. So I'm going Javonte, Sanders, and Blue for the 3, running backs.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
I like it.
It could be, and it could go how you say it as well. That wouldn't surprise me. But the one thing that has to happen, Mike, nepotism cannot rule the day here. If Deuce Vaughn makes this team, and I'm talking about 53 man, and Phil Maffa doesn't, terrible, bro. It's just a bad look, man. Maffa has outplayed Deuce straight up.
Oh, he most definitely has. Yeah,
outplayed him. A better pass blocker. He plays special teams. I mean, we know Deuce does, but in what regard, dude? He's just so small. We were talking, just like we talked about offline yesterday, how crazy Deuce Vaughn looked in pass protection. He just got totally destroyed. It's like, why even have the running back there? He just got obliterated. I was like, oh my God, is he okay?
Yeah, it's David versus Goliath, but it ain't a fairy tale ending, Joe. It's real physics, it's real math, and that's going to happen every single time, Joe.
It really is. He will be a detriment to the team, man. You cannot have him back there thinking he's going to pick up a blitz pickup and have Dak's back, dude. There's just no way. If you want Dak out for the season early on, you keep Deuce, you put him in there. I don't want to see that, bro. I really don't.
It'll be bad. It won't be good, Joe.
Wide receivers, Mike. I think this. The question is: do they carry 5? Do they carry 6? What's your gut feeling here as we get close to the final cuts?
Yeah, with Mingo out with the knee injury, 4 to 6 weeks, I think that they carry 6. And my 6 would be obviously CD, Pickens, Turpin. I think Tolbert makes it. and then Flournoy has been playing really good. He just hasn't been having a quarterback to throw to him. Ryan Flournoy has been very consistent and running really good routes. So if I'm a coach, I'm looking at that effort and I'm like, okay, that's good for me. And then, so I got CD, Pickens, Turpin, Tolbert, Flournoy, and then Mingo when he comes back. That's his spot.
Mm-hmm. Mingo's being your 6th wide receiver.
Yep. Until he gets back from injury, then he'll climb the depth chart higher. But that just fulfills my 6 there. No particular order.
And upon his return, because he's probably going to be on IR, short-term return, right? So when we're not seeing for a few weeks. In the meantime, who would be like, I guess, like your sacrificial number 6 wide receiver? Or are you just going to go with 5?
I think you just go with 5, Joe. I don't think anybody, Jalen, or unless you go with Trayshawn Holden. I mean, can he make this 53 somehow? And then they stash him there so he don't get picked up on waivers, right? So if there was a surprise or some type of move, I could be looking at Trayshawn Holden there.
Yeah, I thought Trayshawn was going to make this team, but they barely even played him last week. It's almost like they're trying to hide him. You know what I mean? I think they're going to try to sneak him through waivers, and cross their fingers that he makes it through the practice squad. So, yeah, I think it's 5. I don't know if you carry 6. I mean, you do if you think that if you think Holden's going to get snatched up, then maybe he's your 6 wide receiver. Other than that, Cropper, he ain't it. Jalen Brooks, Kelly, I don't really see it from them either. So I'm feeling like it's gonna be like 5, dude. I'm interested to see if it'll be 6, but I don't think so. You know, carry 6 just for the sake of it. It doesn't really make too much sense, right?
Right, it doesn't.
O-line, Mike. Any surprises? I feel like this is kind of I think we can kind of figure out who's gonna make this, but let me ask you a few questions on the O-line, guys, right? They signed Lyle Collins. Has he shown you anything to be a backup guard, tackle, swing guy to make the 53, or is he just did they just bring him in for a camp body and thank you for your time, we'll see you at another time? Like, what's your gut feeling on Lyle Collins and some of these other guys on O-line, Mike?
100%. I forgot Lyle Collins on this team. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I forgot he was definitely a camp body guy. Yeah, man. I'm going to say, TJ Bass played really good sitter ball this past week against the Ravens. You still got Brock Hoffman there. Nathan Thomas looks like a solid stud there at left tackle. Extremely well. Cornelius looks good. So I think the offensive line depth coming into this is actually a lot better than I thought. And then seeing the way Tyler Booker was able to turn guys and move guys and bully guys, I love that, Joe. So offensive line to me is a bigger strength after this Ravens game, and I can sleep at night knowing that. But Lyle Collins, I don't think he makes the team. He might make practice squad. I mean, they stashed him on the practice squad a couple of years ago. I think that's where his home's at on this roster.
Yeah. Let's talk about the rookie, Johnny Cornelius from Oregon, Mike. Does he sneak on here, or did he earn himself a roster spot here as a tackle, swing tackle kind of guy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you look at Agendi, I don't think Agendi has done enough to outside of these young guys, right? You want stronger, younger, faster. I don't think Agendi has done anything to outbeat Cornelius. And Cornelius, obviously, there will be your future to replace Terrence Steele here in the next coming year or so. So I think that's where Cornelius fits in this roster. Is they're really looking for him to replace Terrence Steele.
Yeah. I think I feel like there's definitely a roadmap somewhere here for Terrence. This is probably the last year, whether it's, we stumbled upon, we found something, we developed Nate, to be a left tackle, let's go ahead and revert Guyton to your right tackle and let him, succeed where he really feels comfortable at. Or, like you said, a Johnny Cornelius. That's the other route, right? So I feel good about that, man. I feel good about right tackle moving forward. Even this year, if it still misses some time, I think we have options there. We're not dead in the water. These vets that they brought in here, during the free agency frenzy, Sadiq Charles, Akeem Adeniji, they didn't really move the needle for me at all. You know what I mean? Even though they kind of have name recognition, they just felt more like camp bodies to me. They didn't seem like guys that can come in here and snatch a starter spot and, that sort of thing. Maybe they can give you some help over a game, but not something you want long term.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. Mike did have a super chat real quick. I'll hit on it real quick. He said, what's even sad is none of those current players outside of Dak were even alive when the Cowboys won all those Super Bowls. Yeah, that is so sad to say. And then 4 months of membership here on the channel. The DTs and running backs are definitely the two biggest holes.
Yeah. Defensive tackle. And man, I thought for sure, bro, that after what we saw these first two preseason games, the defensive tackle, that they were going to hit the trade market and make a move here. Now that we're getting to week 3 and we're getting to cuts, it looks like they're just going to go with what they have, bro. It's the same old stubborn Cowboys, bro. We're fine. We're gonna manage or whatever. I don't feel comfortable with the defensive tackle position by any means.
Well, when I look at the defensive tackle position, I look at Osa, Solomon Thomas. There's some young guys coming along, Jay Toa, Perion Winfrey, and then you got to look at the scheme that Matt Eberflus wants to run. It's a gap contain type of defense, and your defensive tackles cannot be getting pushed back 5-6 yards. They have to be able to contain their gap and let the linebackers shoot through it. If they can do that, that does help the running game, and that will apply pressure to the quarterback. But the defensive tackles Mozzie Smith cannot get pushed back 10 yards. The defense won't work.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a big problem here. We'll see what happens there, man. So let's go ahead now and look at the defensive side of the ball, right? We just talked about defensive tackles. JT, I feel, makes the team. The rookie out of UCLA, the big body behemoth. Perion Winfrey, Mike, I think he's making this team here as a defensive tackle. And, of course, you have Solomon Thomas. I don't think the other rookie that we drafted, Tommy King Basote, is going to make the team. I think he's a practice squad guy, Mike. What's your thought on Tommy?
Yeah, I don't think he makes the team. When I'm looking at guys like Ernest Brown, making plays, Big 51 out there doing some things, I like that. I think he could be a surprise 53-man guy. Watch Ernest Brown against these Falcons. He really puts on good tape. Perion Winfrey, like you said, Jay Toa. Maybe Mozzie Smith will be maybe they'll trade him out of here. Maybe they'll do something. Taco Charlton, before his third year, he got traded, right, to Miami Dolphins. Jerry doesn't fool around. Mozzie Smith can follow the footsteps of one of Taco Charlton.
Yeah, nobody sees it, right? It just feels like the writing's on the wall for Mozzie. Your edge guys, Mike, Marshawn Nealon, the new age Tyrone Crawford. Cowboys like that there in the roster all the time, and then now we have it in Marshawn Nealon, right? So Tyrus Wheat, Peyton Turner. I don't think Peyton Turner's making this team, bro. And I think James Houston has been outplaying him, dude. Peyton Turner, bust to bust, sayonara. What's your thoughts on that situation there, Mike?
Yeah, when I look at a guy like James Houston and I look at a guy like Peyton Turner, you can tell which one wants it and which one's just out there. I think Peyton Turner was a former first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken, and just hasn't played to that level, and now we see why. I mean, James Houston, He's hungry. He knows what it's like to be on the street. Peyton Turner doesn't. So you could tell which one has attitude, killer instinct, and which one don't. Tyrus Sweet the same way. He's been hanging on this roster forever and ever and ever just because he knows how to make the plays when necessary and bring out that highlight reel, so to speak. So, when I look at a guy like Peyton Turner, the Cowboys are going to turn the page on Peyton Turner.
Yeah, all the way. I think his time is done here. Sam Williams and Donovan Ezaraku, these dudes are making it, obviously. Let's touch on Donovan Ezaraku, Mike. I think the hype has been overhyped on him a little bit. As far as, some people are like, oh, he's going to get 8 or 10 sacks and this sorts of thing. From what you've seen, what do you like and what have you not liked about what you've seen out of Donovan so far in game action?
I like his bend. I like his get up. I like his first step. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to make a bold statement here. I would rather have Ezaraku than Sam Williams on this roster, and I'm just being real. When you turn on the film of Sam Williams, they're running the ball his way, and he's running. So he's on the right tackle. He's running towards the left tackle as the play's coming his way. And he didn't do it once. He didn't do it twice, Joe. He did it more than like 2 handful of times, and that's why we got gashed in the running game, because he was running away from the play. What are you doing? And I would rather have Donovan Ezaraku, just some fresh legs. Go give Sam Williams a fresh start somewhere else. But I don't think the hype around Sam Williams, everything that's been said, it's not transitioning on the field at all. Me and you, Joe, we're big on when the lights are bright. Can you play right? Can you be right? Mm-hmm. Sam Williams is not checking that box. Ezaraku has more potential for me in the long run than a Sam Williams.
Yeah, you nailed it right on the head there. I agree with you 1,000% in every regard. I wish Sam Williams would be a trade bait kind of guy. You know what I mean? Can we rip somebody off? This guy's a knucklehead, bro. I mean, it is. It's like the lights are too bright. It's almost like it does something to him, dude. Like it transforms him into somebody else, man. Because you don't see what you've been seeing in camp. You don't see when it's on the field. It's the weirdest thing, man. Oh, what the hell it is, dude. So I do hope that Donovan does get more snaps than Sam Williams. I think that he needs those snaps. I think what we've seen out of him in preseason has been kind of vanilla, and maybe that's just what they've been. Maybe they just been kind of holding him back a little bit, as far as like just a vanilla bull rush. Don't show your full your full armament of pass moves. This sort of thing. I'm hoping that's what it is, because we really didn't see any moves from him really. So I'm hoping and praying that that's what the case was. But yeah, either way, Donovan, I want to see him get more snaps in the regular season than Sam Williams, because honestly, that's going to give you less penalties as well. Sam's going to give you guaranteed a bonehead penalty per game that will extend the drive, that will turn a punt into a first down. Hey, dude, he's a mess, dude. So yeah, that's the deal there, right? Linebackers, Mike. Any surprises here? Anybody making the team? Anybody that you're kind of disappointed may not make the team? I do have one, but I want to hear what your take is here on the linebackers here, Mike.
I'll be disappointed if Justin Barron, big number 55, doesn't make the team. I like Justin Barron. I like his game. I think there's a lot of potential for Matt Eberflus, who's a linebacker guru type of coach that he can work with. Justin Barron, he looks like your prototypical Mike linebacker in every aspect of football. So I will definitely be disappointed if we lose Justin Barron to another team because we had to cut him.
And I think that's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see who. I think that last linebacker cut might be between Barron and Darius Harris. If I had to make a guess, I mean, maybe even Buddy Johnson might be in this mix. Mike, what's your thoughts on Buddy Johnson?
Yeah, a core special teamer for the Cowboys for many years. He's found a way to stick around this roster. just like Tyrus Sweet has. And, that's when you get back on these depth charts, when you're talking about a backup Mike, when you're talking about Ezaraku being, the third defensive end outside of Sam Williams, who can play special teams? Who can make the impact? A lot of that determines whether you make this team or not. They would rather you play special teams than not and gamble you stashing you on the practice squad. So they have to be able to do that. And Justin Barron, can he play more special teams than Darius Harris or Buddy Johnson, which it's hard to beat Buddy Johnson. He played special teams very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a commodity here in the league, right? You got to have somebody that can give you depth, but somebody that can also excel in special teams. You kind of have to have that ace player on special teams. I think Buddy's very solid. Speaking on Damone Clark, I feel like he might have bought fully into Eberflus. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. Last week, he really turned it up a notch. If you get that Damone Clark that we saw in that last game during the season, yeah, I mean that's gonna be big time, dude. That's gonna be like, hey, we're holding it down till Overstrom gets here, because that's what Overstrom does, sideline to sideline. That's what we saw out of Damone in this damn preseason game. I was like, who is this guy? Who possessed this dude? All right, so we'll see about that, Mike. What's your thought of Damone Clark, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I had to shout him out. Damone Clark, Joe, I'll be the first to say it. I had him written off this team just because, he didn't play a lot last year under Mike Zimmer. When he did play, he did not look good. But like you said, Joe, he's fully bought in to Matt Eberflus's system. And that's just what Matt Eberflus does at linebackers, for linebackers for that matter. But, if the problem with Damone Clark is he has to be consistent. Can you be consistent? And if you can, it's only going to help the Dallas Cowboys.
100%, bro. 100%, man. That would be such a boost to the defense if he can do that game in and game out. You know what I mean? Jack Sanborn identities out there. Looks like he's making this team here. I think that's Eberflus's boy there. All right, and obviously Maris Leafau whooping butt all over the place. I can't wait to see him in the regular season. Kenneth Murray, we hadn't seen him. Shamar James, Mike, pleasantly surprised or disappointed? What is your thoughts on the rookie out of Florida, Shamar James?
I'm super happy with 50. He's wearing 50 very well, Joe. And I can't say that about a lot of guys that put on that number since Sean Lee's left. Shamar James, the Florida Gator, fifth quarter's boy, doing nice things. Him and Damone Clark had a heck of a game against the Ravens. Those are the two guys that I shouted out in my post-game video. Just all over the field, making plays. Seeing, a lot of his measurables were smaller guy. He's a smaller linebacker, and he plays with a big heart, and it's showing on the field, Joe. He can be a playmaker on this defense, but he has to be able to play special teams as well. That when you talk about the end of the depth chart, you got to be able to play special teams. Yeah,
I've been pleasantly surprised by him. When we drafted him, I was kind of like, I don't know. I wanted another running back, but we got him. I think he's bought in too. I think Eberflus can mold him into something. So I've been pleasantly surprised. I think as the season progresses, he'll be one of these guys that gives you solid depth as the season goes. Where this gets interesting, Mike, is here in the secondary, right? You have a whole mix of guys here. I'm talking about cornerbacks and safeties, really, and your nickel guys. Let's attack cornerbacks first, Mike. Any surprise cuts or any surprise guys that make the team at cornerback?
I would be surprised if. Let me just skip through this real quick. Gosh, I don't know. Boots Jr. He played a lot better during the Ravens game. Did that earn him spot? Did that earn him a spot on here till Diggs can get back? Troy Pride would be a surprise roster make for me over a guy like Robert Rochelle. I think that's the battle there, Rochelle and Troy Pride. But Israel Mukuamu, I gotta throw his name in the mix. I'd be surprised if Israel Mukuamu does not make the 53.
I got one for you, bro. And I like what you're saying about Pride and Rochelle. I think that is the battle there for maybe one of the last spots. I honestly think that Izzy's in trouble, bro. I think they're gonna go Childress and Keemon Hall. I think they're just more. I just feel like they're better nickel cornerback type of dudes. Putting Izzy at that size, I mean, he's shown that he had some flashes there, but I think that would be one surprise cut for me. Would be that they keep Keemon Hall or Childress and Izzy gets the axe. That's going to be my surprise cut of this cycle, Mike.
Interesting.
And I don't know if it's a big surprise. I mean, it could be, right? Additionally, Kalen Carson, Mike, he's been hurt. I think this dude's going to go IR, so I don't even count him. So maybe some of these other dudes make it in here, man. Maybe Rochelle and Pride make it in here. Michael Ohemadia. I don't even know who the hell that dude is.
They just signed him yesterday.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They just signed the unknown dude. And then that's their specialty, right? So,
yes.
Well, I think that's going to be interesting where they go with these guys. Butler's hurt. Goodwin, he's your special teams guy. Siobhan Rebel, he's tracking towards IR return. So, geez, man. Would you even just thrust him into the mix when he comes back, or do you have to give him a warm-up phase? Like, how do you even put Ravel into the season here, Mike?
I think you redshirt him his rookie year, Joe. I think that's what you have to do. I'll just redshirt him, give him the year off, let him make sure that knee's good, and try it again next year. There's no point of rushing a youngster like that. The Dr. Cooper special, as you like to call it, Joe. We got to make sure that knee's good and that he can play at a high level, because we're definitely going to need him, especially next year if Deron Bland doesn't get signed. So I would stash Revel just for confidence. Let that knee heal fully and get him back next year. That's what I would do. I would redshirt him.
I like what you're saying, bro. I 100% like what you're saying, and I'll bite the bullet and do that too, bro. Like, I don't want to rush him back. We've seen some clips of him. Just looks kind of gimpy, kind of like Jalen did, right? Like there was a little hitch, right? And that's not healed. And those injuries, they could take a while. And then the last thing we want is to get re-hurt. It has to have a cleanup, and then it sets them back further. So I'm with you, bro. I think I do that, and just go with some of these other young guys you got here. So that'll be interesting conversation. See what they do there with that. Safety, Mike. Did any of these young guys do anything to impress you? Elijah Clark, the highest paid drafted, undrafted dude. I hadn't seen jack from him, bro. Practice squad, maybe. I don't see him making the team.
No, I think it's going to be the same four that we had last year: Wilson, Thomas, Malik Hooker, and Marquise Bell. Mike Smith. When I see 39 out there and I see him get beat, my brain flashes to Brandon Carr, and I immediately don't like you. If you wear 39, you have to make plays for me, because if you don't, I don't like you. And Mike Smith, I'm not a fan of. So I think it's going to be the four that we had last year at that safety spot.
I think it is. I do agree with that. Maybe they'll address that next draft cycle. I know that they've been looking, but they haven't pulled the trigger yet. But yeah, this year, same four. Elijah didn't do it. Mike Smith didn't do it for me. Time ran out. They didn't show anything. Special teams, we know about that, Mike. So yeah, man, that's our 53-man prediction. Surprises. I'm really interested to see what the hell they do at running back with Vaughn and Phil Maffa, bro. I don't know why, but I'm intrigued by that. Like, what are they going to do the right thing?
They better. There's no way, absolutely no way that he makes his team. Joe, we didn't touch on tight end. What's your thoughts on tight end, Joe?
Yes, the tight ends. You're right, Mike. Let's go back up here and look at tight ends. Jake the Snake Ferguson, Lou Schoonmaker, Brevin Spanford, John Stevens, Fant, Rivaldo Fairweather, and Neville Tyler's. These guys are at the bottom of the depth chart that just came out, right? So we know Fergie's making it. So there's been a lot of talk about Schoonmaker. I think Schoonmaker's safe, bro. I don't think there's anything there on that there. We've seen him improve, you know what I mean, as a second round pick. I don't have anything that worries me. Not last season, if he didn't fill in and didn't have some catches and look like crap, yeah, I would be concerned. But to me, he stepped up last year, you know what I mean, and he showed improvement. So I'm good with Schoonmaker. Brevin Spanford, I think he's in here as well. And I think that's all they carry, bro. I think they're just going with 3 tight ends. And and they'll count Hunter Lipke as your fullback, halfback, tight end hybrid type of dude.
Yeah, no. Out of John Stevens Jr., Preston Font, Fairweather, and Tyler Neville, who would you want on the practice squad? You can only pick one, hypothetically. You can only pick one. Who would you pick, Joe?
I would go with Fairweather. Only because he kind of gives you the more athleticism. Cowboys, I think Cowboys are just very, and they still remain. They still are very metric centric. They like the 6'6" guy, maybe 6'5". So 6'5" and up, right? They love those dudes. So if it's not Fairweather, because he doesn't fit that, right? Fairweather's like what, 6'3" or something like this. Tyler Neville, I think would be that dude.
Yeah, I am becoming a big fan of Tyler Neville, just in his route running, his catching, his physicality, his blocking. If I had to pick one out of those 4, mine would be Tyler Neville. His frame, his work ethic, everything about Tyler Neville, I'm a fan of.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I definitely could see that. John Stevens, time ran out, injury prone. Princeton Fant just didn't show enough for me either. So, yeah, man, I think they go with 3. And then Lipke, he's in there as your hybrid freaking dude. Do you have Lipke making the team?
Yes, I do. I think so. Just from what Schottenheimer's talking about, how they want to run the offense, and the way they've been using Lipke, getting him some reps, getting his feet warmed up, getting them hamstrings working. I think Schottenheimer has some type of plan for him.
Mm-hmm.
That McCarthy didn't. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, the McCarthy didn't, which was surprising, dude, because McCarthy at Green Bay utilized his fullback a lot. You know what I mean? It's just what happened in his playbook. I don't think Jerry and these dudes let him install his playbook.
That's exactly what happened.
Because I didn't see anything of that. I didn't see any real West Coast. We're not running that here.
Oh, they called it the Cowboy Coast, Joe.
Yeah, the Texas Coast or whatever.
Yeah, the Texas Coast. That's what it was called. Texas Toast.
Which in fact we really found out that it was the Garrett Coast, right?
Right, so, exactly.
That's what it is there. Mike, as promised, we're closing out with Micah Parsons. Let's play devil's advocate here. All right, still isn't signed. Doesn't look like he's going to be signed. We're hearing now Schefter reporting now that there's poison in the well, that it's a fractured relationship. Where is this tracking towards? Is this tracking towards forcing Micah to play the season and then, or a trade, or what is your gut telling you, Mike?
Well, I actually, ironically, I Googled this today. If Micah Parsons doesn't play, what's his fines? And there's no fines because he's on a 5th-year contract. He forfeits all the $24 million he's scheduled to make. So, I think when you look at this between both of them, Micah wants his money. Cowboys are not even talking to David, his agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Micah is like, what am I doing? I mean, look at his face expressions there in camp. I mean, he's like trying to figure out what he did wrong and why Jerry's not calling his agent. And not calling his agent back, because we know that Micah Parsons' agent has been calling the Cowboys, and they're not returning the call.
Mm-hmm.
And that's digging a deeper hole that Jerry's going to have to figure out a way out of. And so when you look at this, I think Micah eventually is going to get traded. I just think that what Schottenheimer's trying to build culture-wise, I know it's tough, and this distraction is really a locker room cancer, because there's guys that want Micah paid, and maybe there's guys that don't want Micah paid. I don't know, but there's a lot of guys defending Micah on Twitter and social media and doing the things, and so I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't in this situation. But I think Jerry's ego is I'm still the man of the house, so to speak. And I'm going to trade you because this is my house and I can do that.
No, I agree, man. I think it's heading that way. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have a discussion, because then you can have, he won't miss the game check, right? But he could say my back's still messed up, or my hamstring, I pulled it, and just sit a bunch of games. You know what I mean? And it can spread to the locker room. Like you said, he has a lot of support in that locker room. Could this implode everything that they're supposedly trying to build? So there's a big deal here, rumored from the Packers, a huge package, multiple first-round picks. There's other teams that are supposedly rumored to be in the mix as well now. Other teams supposedly are interested, which doesn't surprise me, man, because this is a lot of people throw around generational type of player around, and I don't know if he's generational, Mike, but he's definitely a top 5 player in this league. You know what I mean? As far as like an edge rusher, it's right there with Myles Garrett, Bosa, these type of dudes, man, and they don't grow on trees, right? So you could have a king's ransom. The only thing I don't like is
we were doing so good, Joe. Oh, we were doing so good. King ransom, that's where he left off. And then he was going to make another point, and then we froze. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit the like button if you haven't already. This is the Frisco Report with Cowboys Blog, Cowboys Corner. Blog will be back in about 10 seconds. Don't worry. Don't leave the show. Just stay right here with us. Brando, the best moderator in the game, Fifth Quarter Cowboys. Yeah, you guys subscribe to him. We're going to be live on Freaky Friday Watch Party. Friday, streaming the preseason game against us and the Falcons. So, and then we got cuts happening right after that. So, and then we got to prepare for these Eagles. So, week 1, September 4th, right around the corner, guys. Right around the corner. So, we'll wait for Joe to get back so he can finish his point. But yeah, guys, look, we know we just gave you the roster predictions, surprise cuts, stuff like that. We could have made this segment about Joe Milton and how, He's not a quarterback, this, that, and the third, but, you know, there's other guys to talk about, and that's what we brought you here right here in the Frisco Report. Just click like button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss another live. I think Joe will be back in here soon, so, and we'll let him wrap up his point here on Micah Parsons, because I think Joe's point will be very valid, and I can't wait to hear it. But hope everybody's having a good week so far. Tomorrow's the middle of it. And, yeah. Anybody got any questions while we wait on Joe? Oh, here we go right here. Bam.
Internet fails again. AT&T, no good, bro. What I was saying, Mike, is if you trade Micah to the Packers, who are a contender, right? Those picks are going to be that you get back. You're going to improve the Packers, right? So
yeah,
those picks end up being almost late or early second round picks. So I wouldn't trade him to a contender. Trade him to a crappy team who you're going to have the opportunity to maybe even have a top 5, top 10 pick, even with the addition of Micah to that team. So I'm looking at the Saints. They're going to be bad, dude. They don't have a quarterback. Have you seen them? Kellen Moore, disaster there, bro. The Panthers, they look terrible, bro. They're going to be a complete mess, too. The Browns, I feel like, so, you know, this types of dudes, you know, and that's what Jerry did. I mean, that's what Jimmy did, right, with the Herschel Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Traded to the sorry Minnesota Vikings. You knew that the Vikings weren't going to be that good, even with the addition of Herschel Walker. And those picks, we had early picks, you know, in the teens. So we weren't drafting at the bottom. Like, if you traded the Packers or a contender, those picks are going to be shitty, bro. Like second round picks almost. Yeah. And the Cowboys are terrible at drafting at the bottom of the first round. They are terrible. Outside of Frederick, hold
not good.
Horses, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
bro. So that's where we're at on the Micah Parsons deal, bro. I feel like this is heading towards that as well. And if he's not traded, I think somebody will call for him during the offseason for, you know, we'll match, you know, and the Cowboys will say, okay, well, we'll take your picks. So I think that'll be in place. So eventually, I think the writing's on the wall here. I will be surprised at this point if Micah is a Cowboy, you know, in 2026.
I'll be super surprised too. I really would.
That's what it is, bros. Guys, let me know what you guys think, man. Do you think that Micah's going to be here? Do you think that he'll be extended? You know, do you think an extension will come out of nowhere and that's it? Or do you think that
forgiven?
Or do you think this soap opera, like Jerry says that he likes to create, continues? You know what I mean? So let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat box. Mike, I think that's it for tonight's show. Very good show covering the Cowboys roster as we lead up to the final preseason game of the year, Mike, under Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah. No, I think we did a good job covering that. We get to see them against these Falcons on Friday. And then guess what happens immediately after that Falcons game? We start preparing for them nasty Eagles show.
The game opener, the Eagles, the champs, right? So we got to beat them. Will we have enough talent to do it, Mike? Will we have it? That's it tonight, guys. Continue to like, subscribe, and share. Subscribe on your way out if you haven't already. Helps our channels out immensely. And we'll catch you for the next one, guys. Peace out.
Peace. Oh, bro, I'm low-key faded, bro.